Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, trying to talk over a way too loud intro. Let's cut that down a bit. Of course, I had to use this music since it is the end theme from The Angry Red Planet, which we are returning to. We first visited The Angry Red Planet way back in episode 186, long before I knew what I was doing. But today, I know a little more about what I'm doing. I am the host of Zenorama, the podcast of Heroes and Monsters, X7, also the host of GD Explanations. New episodes every Monday, regularly. Technical issues that happen, but that happens to all of us, right? Be that as it may, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this movie. I don't think it was on YouTube back in episode 186, so this will be relatively new for most of my viewers, and I appreciate all of you. So leave me a comment. And if you could, watch just, 4 or 5 minutes, really help the algorithm. So, having said all that, let's blast off to the Angry Red Planet. So, here is one of the, smaller movie posters, but it's certainly, it actually doesn't lie to you too much. It's not beyond time and space, but it is in magnificent color, and it does star all those people, and you can see who it was produced by and released by American International, which is what we get right here. Let's listen to a little of the trailer.
Is there life on Mars? For centuries we have wondered. Now, for the first time, through the new photographic miracle of Cinemagic.
We are going to find out, aren't we? So, a hastily called meeting at the White House is about the returning Mars M1 mission. The rocket has been sighted. It's been gone for longer than it should have been, but now it's on its way back. So everyone's excited. Look at that digital counter, long before it could possibly have been a digital wristwatch. I just like these shots. Now, I think they used a lot of on-site things because the movie's uh, budget was about $200,000, and there's a big old discussion about whether or not that's how much it was, but I think it's probably spot on. The movie was released November 23rd, 1959. Apparently, it runs 83 to 87 minutes. The Blu-ray I have is 83 minutes, I think. Yeah, 83 minutes. So I don't know that I've ever seen the 87-minute one, which might have had extra time on it simply because to fill in the old, a 2-hour time slot. I do have a funny story about watching this on Sci-Fi Flicks with my brother and my sainted mother, but we'll get into that in a bit. So, it's making news here because the rocket's due to land. And in the olden days, you could just stand around. They had televisions on all night until I suppose they went off, but you could hear it. They were loud enough to hear. That used to be a thing. It really did. Now, here is our reporter that's Don Lamond as TV newscaster, and later on at the end of the movie, the Martian voice. They make it sound like it's Ted Cassidy, but it's not. The late great Ted Cassidy. There's Nara Hayden as Dr. Irish, Ryan, and that's Les Tremaine. Of course, you've seen him, and we've talked about him before. Wonderful voice. And there's two other. Gerald Moore is Colonel Thomas O'Banion, who's smarmy, but, acceptable. He's not a jerk, really. Definitely in the Captain Kirk mold, where he's kind of a space wolf. And then Jack Crucian is the Chief Warrant Officer, Sam Jacobs. Now, why they need a warrant officer? Anyway, generally, he's the engineer. That role. He should have been in a red shirt. But he's on a red planet, so I guess they're lucky any of them came back alive. So there's the crew. The rocket's landing. They show a rocket landing in reverse. It works pretty well. And they're interesting television. I just like the gigantic computer and knowing that my cell phone has more memory than it. And they have some fine attention to detail. It's all burnt up there, and there's burn marks. And then the Dr. Iris Ryan comes out, and she's in a state of shock. Um, Colonel O'Banion has goo on his arm, like the green slime. It's about the green slime, too, but not quite. So they take her to the hospital, Norwood Hospital, United States Air Force. And there's our nurse Hayes. That's Brandy Bryan. She doesn't really get anything else. She was probably in Perry Mason. Let's listen to a little more of the before I forget.
You will see the wonders of this strange and terrifying world.
So you can see it in Iris's eyes, in her irises. So she's woken up and they want to know what's going on. But so she tells them what she remembers here. They're just blasted off. Spirits are high. There's Gerald Moore as Thomas Colonel, the Colonel, and Les Tremaine, of course. They do have the obligatory "look out, it is an asteroid," but it just seems to always have to happen. But it really didn't need to. This was just, you got to see a red menace right away, I suppose. But there's Mars, off in this distance with its two moons, Phobos and Deimos, and he does it. He wants to close the portal before the window before it gets scratched by meteor dust, which would be a real thing to be concerned about. That's why the Enterprise had sweeper, a force field out there to sweep things away. Because traveling at warp speed, it would slice right through the ship if it didn't have their shields up. And just all these banks and banks. See, he's making the moves. And, she's obviously interested in him, though she makes him work for it. And she's a doctor, a biologist, I believe. So there's day one. And then we skip to day 17. Forward and rear cameras. I mean, I just like the look of this movie. They did a really good job for
When you see the angry red planet, join.
That sounds a little. I think they swiped this movie, 1959. I think they swiped a bit of for the trailer anyway, the bit of the music from Forbidden Planet. Yes, we are going to get there, but it's such a great movie that I want to watch it. Who did the movie? The music here was Paul Dunlap. I think it's a pretty good score. Fits, works really well. It's not a large cast, and then I'd like to read this. The monster, and this could very well be a real book. Loathsome Beasts, The Weird Monster. Yeah, that's my kind of book there. That's there's our chief warrant officer, Sam, that the colonel calls Sammy all the time. And he says this: you'll ever get to see the next movie. So you know what's going to happen. I mean, you should know. I didn't. I saw this back on Sci-Fi Flicks, I want to say in 1974 or 75, whatever. We'd already been scared to death with the Outer Limits episode, and my sainted mother was up watching with us. And, it gets your attention. That's one of the reasons I love the movie this much, is because I saw it at that tender age of between 9 and 11.
In this daring crew, the first in the scientific race between nations to attempt to land on Mars. 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4. Well, you'll see the trailer at the end there, or maybe in the middle if I decide to do that, because I do want to. I'll probably just do that. Anyway, there's Iris, hard at work on her typewriter. So it's very much of its time. They're 29 days in flight with a Bulova watch. I had one of those. I think my first one was. She's putting on they don't show if there's they probably don't have a lot of water to use, and it's probably warm, close quarters, and she is the only woman. I'm assuming she has a separate bunk, and they have to have separate, a bathroom schedule. Dr. Cooper probably wrote that up for them. But they're watching her because she's still trying to make sure the colonel is still interested.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
So, yeah, they present the stuff out of order in the trailer, but that's okay. They do have seat belts on these chairs, but they're not very well padded for taking off the G forces that would be required taking off and landing. and but they're looking. They've landed on Mars, and it's red, and the doctor thinks they're being watched. And Sammy and Tom there have a discussion while Tom cleans his. I don't know what that thing is. It's a gun. The doctor thinks Professor Theodore Gettle, that's Les Tremaine there, thinks they're being watched, and he's not wrong. So they decide to go out, and they've got their nice tight. I mean, I don't know if they've got their beige clothes on underneath, or they're just in their skivvies under that. It doesn't really matter. But and there's our first sight of the Martian. Dun dun dun, which Iris sees and freaks out about. Then she freaks out about again on Earth. But they want to whack her up with 300 cc's of Thorazine or something to get her to remember. But even the doctor says no. But Iris says, no, give it to me. Let's get on with it. Let's remember this. So there's our first look at Mars. Now, these are paintings, I believe, but it's just cool looking. It's, presented as craggy, like the moon was thought to be. You can see that old style in Destroy All Monsters and from the Earth to the Moon, but it's a little smoother than that. But there's plant life, and off they go. So this is the Cinemagic, where they've just not developed the negative. They used the negative, really, and tinted it red, which works. It makes it look otherworldly. I didn't realize that they were actually walking around in a park. They go out. They leave the door wide open. Now, I'm assuming that the airlock is locked inside, but they leave the door wide open, and anything can just walk up there. I mean, they're kind of lucky, right? Don't you think? Don't you think?
Blast off from Earth with courageous astronauts Gerald Moore, Nora Hayden, Les Tremaine, Jack Kruschen. Travel thousands of miles through space.
So Sammy there has got his ultrasonic freeze gun. That's using sound to freeze things. I don't know that would work, but it sounds cool. And he names it Cleo and kisses it. And I think Sammy's got some issues. But, I mean, yeah. But he's also interested in meeting some Martian girls. Go figure. There's some plant life, which just kind of ugly. And so Iris goes off looking for things. There it is. There's our first monster, which grabs her. She actually has to do the whole, oh no, it's grabbing me, and roll it up around her and pretend to struggle while she falls into it. Tom shows up, the Colonel shows up and chops a limb off. Then they zap it with the freeze ray, and it works because it's a plant and susceptible to cold, I would assume, though Martian nights would probably get pretty darn cold. I think the Martian day is about 20 hours total. It's close enough to Earth. They're not jumping around like John Carter, obviously. They haven't paid enough attention. But. So look, she's got her Instamatic there, and it actually develops right away. A little too happy with that gun. I mean, but it's an effective looking thing. It doesn't have a lot of odd protuberances on it. So now they're trying to contact Earth, but they can't get through. It's being blocked.
To the unknown.
She just saw the Martian in the trailer. So now we know that's Earth time, but they're not in flight anymore. They go back out to look around. I think the landscape is cool looking. Then they see these really weird trees. Now, I'm telling you, as a kid, when this happened, I thought they were really weird trees. I was completely surprised when the bat rat spider crab showed up. I mean, I guess it's mostly just a rat spider crab. There's really not too much batty about it. Maybe if the legs they're kind of webby. It's a puppet, and the Blu-ray, which was released by MGM, or I don't know, is so clear you can see a couple of the strings working the puppetry on it. But it's a good looking thing. It drools. I think it's a cool monster. It shows up a lot. The Misfits used it on their first album when Glenn Danzig was still there and wrote everything. But, obviously the crab claws. There's the professor who, I mean, there's the effects work. It helps that you're using this weird Cinecolor, or Cinemagic, pardon me. The freeze ray doesn't work. But look at this claw. This is a full-size mock-up, and it's got damage on it. Not damage, but wear and tear. So it doesn't look like it's, clean. right there you can really see the grooves and things, which a real animal would have, especially if it's walking on it or dragging it across the ground. But I think it's an effective critter. Is it stop motion? No, it's not supposed to be. It's not. Doesn't have that long. Finally, they aim at the eyes and blind the poor thing, and it grabs its own eyes. And it's like, my eyes. I guess we could call it Kelso. I'm going to get an eye patch. There's a lake of some kind of water. So they take some samples. They say it's heavier, and they take some samples and go back to the ship. But their Martian is watching them. Dun dun dun. That's pretty much all we see of the Martian. We don't see if it has hands, what kind of legs it has. It's not human though. Might be humanoid, but it's not. It's got three eyes. It's a good looking design. I mean, and they show it just enough to intrigue you. I like the movie. I mean, it got fair to middling reviews, although um, what's this guy, Bruce Eater? Is that who said had some good things to say about it? Yeah, he did the commentary on the very Harryhausen laser disc release of Jason and the Argonauts. Good God. Um, so she's smelling the water, which I don't know that I would do. And Sammy's all happy about his rifle, and then there's the. I just like the ship. It's just cool shots here. They tried to blast off because they decided that suddenly they're being attacked. Although they did kind of hit old Kelso bat spider crab, and take a chunk of its shin off. So I can understand why it was perturbed. But whatever's on Mars that's controlling it won't let them go. So off they go. They get into their life raft. They see a city. Could it be? I mean, they did have in Pinocchio in outer space. They had the same kind of giant monsters, crabs, and dinosauroid things. Maybe it's the same civilization. They go miles into the sky. Suddenly, you can just hear the Jaws theme here. Ding, 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 ding.
Cinemagic is not being shown to you now, but this wild land comes alive in Cinemagic. You'll see buildings miles high.
We just did.
In Cinemagic. Journey to the center of sudden terror.
Which is where we are right now. So this is an amoeba jellyfish thing. It's not a jelly, but it's an amoeba. It does have a lot of tentacles. They think it's a unicellular organism, but I don't know. I mean, it's Martian. It's not going to be anything we know because we don't have anything that size on it. But off they go. Paddle, paddle, paddle. I guess the Martian does have arms, but we don't see if it's got hands or claws. And it's got one eye that spins around. There's a nice shot with the ship, and then it engulfs it. There goes Sammy. He does not get to see what happens with that particular pulp magazine.
In Cinemagic. Be trapped by the tentacles of man-devouring plants. In Cinemagic. Feel the fire-hot breath of a 40-foot monster as it reaches for you. In Cinemagic.
I like that. In Cinemagic. I wonder if that term is still being used. That's pretty cool. I may have to abscond with that. So, yeah, she's upset. And also, the Colonel's got some goo on his arm. And we know when you get green goo on you, you're in trouble. But there it is. They try to, and there he is watching them. They try to zap it off with electricity, but that doesn't work. But they do manage to blast off because the Martians knock them out and send them home. There's see green slime. A couple years, 10 years before the green slime, but you never know. Martians could have sent flora or on the way to Earth. This is not a model. I think that's just a two-dimensional drawing, but it works. She wakes up. He's, the goo is eating him, but they figure out how to get rid of it, and they're going to go on a date because that was the whole promise there. She looks quite different with her hair pulled down, I think. But me and redheads. So he's recovering, and she wants to go out on a date, and he's like, and then they bring this recording in on their reel-to-reel, and it's with the message the Martians have for them: do not return to Mars.
Your eyes will see the wonders of a world no eyes in this world have ever seen before.
I wonder, will we ever get back to Earth?
There you go. Oh, I timed that one pretty well. So the Martian says, "Don't return to Earth," and then the title shows up. Here, I thought that was a new thing in the 2000s, but there it is. I really love this movie. I mean, I know seeing it at the right age, and it, I didn't ever. I bought the. Did I buy the DVD? Yes, but the Blu-ray is just astounding. It's just lovely, and I highly recommend it. And if you like this movie, then we get the credits, and I think we're going to play a little more of the music. Well, here we go. Since that is the ending credits, it's about 14. Oh, and Gerald Moore, we heard him later on as the voice of Vapor Man from the Galaxy Trio, the superior segment from Birdman in the Galaxy Trio. I like Birdman more, but he's such a square. There's Nora, there's Les, and I mean, I didn't get a picture of old Sammy, but and there's a special narration. That's cute. There's that. All right, so that is the end. And there's the blobby thing menacing the ship. And my fellow agents, that is the end of this episode and I don't know what I'll be reviewing next Saturday because I'm not going to talk about the Black Cat. It's just not my cup of. But having said all that, until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
Is there life on Mars? For centuries we have wondered. Now, for the first time, through the new photographic miracle of Cinemagic, you will see the wonders of this strange and terrifying world when you see the Angry Red Planet. Join this daring crew, the first in the scientific race between nations to attempt to land on Mars.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Blast off from Earth with courageous astronauts Gerald Moore, Nora Hayden, Les Tremaine, Jack Crucian. Travel thousands of miles through space to the unknown. Cinemagic is not being shown to you now, but this wild land comes alive in Cinemagic. You'll see buildings miles high in Cinemagic. Journey to the center of sudden terror in Cinemagic. Be trapped by the tentacles of man-devouring plants in Cinemagic. Feel the fire-hot breath of a 40-foot monster as it reaches for you in Cinemagic. Your eyes will see the wonders of a world no eyes in this world have ever seen before.
I wonder, will we ever get back to Earth?